All right, so do Africans worship ancestors? This is something that's been coming up. I've been noticing that the anti-African brigade has been getting very vocal. So I kind of want to explain God, right? I want to explain God from the Igbo worldview. And if you see other African worldviews that match it, don't be surprised. I'm willing to say Black Africa specifically is talking about the same thing, right? All right, so why do Africans, quote unquote, worship their ancestors? Well, the word worship is not what's going on. If you are a practitioner in any African derived or diasporic spirituality, one of the first things you'll realize is that, oh, that's not really what's going on here. So let me explain, okay? We are in the process of acknowledgement, and it's really an acknowledgement of self, right? Let me explain. So your creator, if you, at any place you go, if you ask them what is God or who is God, they'll tell you God is the creator, okay? So what is the creator, right? The creator is whatever created all of this, is whatever created you, okay? Your creators, right? And I think one of the issues too is that when it comes to African spirituality, we're not talking about what we believe. This is not about belief. This is fact. And you're going to say, okay, well, you believe it's fact. No, it's actual living, breathing fact. If it is not fact, you did do away with it. It's not a part of the system, because before we called it spirituality, we just called it observation. Odenala is just as it is in the world, as it is on the land, as it is on earth. Odenala, right? So let me explain, okay? So it is an actual fact that your parents are your creators, right? Regardless of what you believe, you have a man and a woman who created you. It is an actual fact that their parents are their creators. It is an actual fact that their parents and their parents and their parents going on into time and space are also their creators. Remember, we've defined God as a creator. It's pretty much the universal definition, okay? If we go back far enough, no matter who you are, no matter what you believe, one of your ancestors, one of your creators is the earth. One of your creators is the sky. We see this in the actual fact that we still take in the elements of sky and earth in order to survive. We see this in the actual fact that we are composites of earth minerals. We are composites of water. We are composites composites of light. We are composites of what we call wind or air, vapor, whatever you want to call it, right? All of that comes together to make us. So if all that comes together to make us, it is one of our creators. Whatever life is, whatever an organism is, one of its first ancestor, well, it's one of its ancestors is the earth. Another one is the sky. If one goes away, you will die. If the other goes away, you will die. That's just what it is, right? Okay, so if the earth and the sky are one of our ancestors, then whatever created them, if you want to call it a Big Bang, if you want to call it Yahweh, if you want to call it whatever created them is also one of your ancestors, right? Now, here's the thing about ancestors. They're not dead. They're not dead. They're not fictitious. They are you. You are them. They are a part of you. If you want to call it DNA, if you want to call it, I guess epigenetics is kind of DNA too. Whatever you want to call it, all those things came together to make you, right? The ingredients of the soup are the soup. The soup is the ingredients. You understand? We're just giving it a different name so that we can operate soup or eat it in a different fashion, right? So all those things came together to make you because they are you. And you, right, are a composite of all of these things, and they're all still alive in you. They're all still alive in you. You understand? Right now, we used to laugh at my dad because if you want to just picture where my dad was, if you didn't know where he was at, you want to picture he was wearing like short shorts, walking through a thrift store with like a really big wallet that's like the size of like a folder because he always forgets where his wallet's at. And every now and then, when I don't have anything to do in the day, I find, if you want to guess right now what I'll be doing, that's me. I'll be just walking around some thrift store looking for discounts, right? That's who I am. And I see that in him, and that's who he is. And then you start wondering, how far back does this energy or this mindset or this inclination go, and so on and so forth. And when you see those things, what you're actually seeing is that there are things moving through time and space that are currently expressing themselves as you, and they will express themselves in your children, and so on and so forth. There's an ilu that says, if a man knows the story of his father, he knows what awaits him in this world, right? So this is our understanding. There is no difference. I'm not a different organism than my father and my mother. I am not a different organism than my grandmother and my grandfather. They are not different organisms from their parents. And if you go back all the way far back, if you want to take it back to evolution, if you want to take it back to single-celled organisms, those single-celled organisms are not a different thing from the earth. It is an expression of something, a current that is moving through time and space, that in order to move through time and space, it expresses itself in periods of physicality, which is me, and periods of non-physicality, which is the non-physical space between me and my father, the non-physical space between my mother and her mother. You understand? But that's how it expresses itself. It is a branch growing outwards in all directions by the entire family of existence. So what Africans are doing is they are acknowledging that all of this comes together to make me. And I am grateful to all of this. So when you go to pray, if you go to meditate, if you go to your altar, if you just kind of do your morning affirmations, one of the things we say in Igbo culture is you list your ancestors and you say, Aname Ekelengi, Aname Ekelengi, right? What does Aname Ekelengi mean? Aname Ekelengi means I greet you. I acknowledge you. So are we worshiping? That whole worship thing is a very Abrahamic concept. It's a whole different way of thinking, right? These are acknowledgments, right? So why is it necessary to acknowledge all of these different things? Because without the acknowledgement of your connection to these different things, there's a way you're going to operate, and it's not going to be as you, right? In the African worldview, I'll say in the Igbo worldview, we don't believe in the fact that people are born imperfect. We believe everybody is born perfect. Everybody is born as who they are supposed to be. You are not a project to be fixed. You are a person to be realized. So every single person is born as who they are supposed to be. And sometimes we need a little bit more effort to remember who that person is, to accept who that person is, and to walk in confidence as that person, right? So when you do those acknowledgments, it's the same thing as, okay, my arm is no different from me as a person. And if I want to use my arm, I can use my arm. My arm is always going to be with me. But if I exercise my arm, that exercise is an acknowledgement. And suddenly I'm a little stronger. Suddenly, whatever that arm came into the world to be, it can do it a little bit better. If I feed myself the proper nutrients and I'm getting enough sunlight, I'm taking in all of those elements that come to create me, right? Originally, I said that the earth and the sky are part of your ancestry, okay? So if I'm taking in earth by way of eating minerals, vitamins and minerals, if I'm taking in water by way of drinking, if I'm taking in air by way of breathing, if I'm taking in light by way of my skin and my eyes, all of those things make me stronger. All of those things make me wiser. All of those things make me healthier. And all of those things allow me to be that me that was created to be me. You understand? So that is what's going on. That is our understanding of the Creator. That is our understanding of what Abrahamic people call God. That is our understanding of what we call ancestors. There's another thing I want to say before I think I'm running out of time. One of the things I also wanted to say is that we use the word Ichie to say ancestor in the Igbo worldview. But Ichie doesn't mean ancestor. We say ancestor because that's what Westerners would understand, right? Ichie means elder. It is a respected or an exalted elder. So your elders are also your Ichie, you understand, are also your ancestors. and so forth, right? So it's not really about living and dying and all these different things. It's about acknowledging of the full self and accepting of the full self and the peace and strength that come from it. Uda.